Hello, my friends. This is Rick, and this is your seat at the table, and we are looking at another installment from Weston Green's Star Wars Fantastic Technology, Galladiniums, guns and gear for any occasion. So basically, this is just an equipment guidebook, and it is for in the venue as if you're actually living in the Star Wars universe, and you might have access to something like this to get you a lot of different odds and ends. So the catalog of equipment for adventures, from amphibian grafting patch to the Verpine shatter gun. This catalog contains essential adventuring gear for the rough-and-tumble encounters, with sections detailing weapons, microelectronics, survival gear, droids, and medical supplies. The Galladinium's catalog of wares will provide to be indispensable to any group of characters. Blah, blah, blah. West End game. Right. Yeah. Uh, I got some. I don't know what that is. There's something on there that won't come off, and I don't want to rip the page, so we'll leave it on there and get into a little bit. We get our introduction, avoiding technology overkill. It says, simply put, once an item is introduced, it can never be taken back. Well, not every group of characters will abuse technology. It's best to assume the worst and let the characters prove that they will use the devices responsibly. Assuming once a character learns that a device or any device from Death Stars to the Force Shields may exist in the Star Wars universe, they will get their hands on such a device and abuse it to such an extent that no one can stand against them. The result is called power gaming, and it's not at all desirable. Such devices, if they exist at all, and some things shouldn't exist in Star Wars, must be controlled so rare and probably so fundamentally flawed or dangerous as to be useful only for very specific one-time use. This brings something to mind. Cloaking technology in Star Wars is dodgy at best, and there is a really old series for Lando Calrissian where he's in centrality space and he's dealing with some adventures, and there's an Imperial fleet that's uh, blockading a system or a star cluster, and they're using cloaking technology on a number of ships, and there were some problems with it. We also see this brought up in the Thrawn campaign, of the early books from Thrawn. One of the items that he acquires from the Mount Tannis store depot, other than the Sparty chambers for cloning, making new clones, the former emperor's treasure vault, I guess is what you want to call it, was the blueprints for working cloaking devices. Now, in the old Lando Calrissian, one of the things they made it so it was very unreliable is the problem with cloaking a ship is the ship cannot see out any more than people can see it. So it is theoretically cut off from any kind of communications, sensors, any of that sort of stuff. And the way they get around that, is for ships to dip in and out of where they know the mothership is cloaked at, and they use their sensors, which gives it away. Or having a device like satellites that are tethered, physically speaking, and that also potentially gives it away. In the Thrawn campaign, Thrawn is devious, quite clever, and what he uses them to do is cloak a handful of asteroids, and then he fires off a couple hundred dry shots. They basically blockade Coruscant by launching about a half dozen or dozen of these actual asteroids that are cloaked, and have ships run into them, which shuts the entire ship traffic down, while the New Republic's trying to figure out how to how to clean up this problem, how to get rid of this invisible minefield. And in reality, it comes out later that there's only a handful of these devices, and the majority of what they thought potentially were in the system was because the Star Destroyers had faked launching them. So, that's one of those kind of things where you're trying to keep a balance. It's the same kind of an unspoken rule as to why the Jedi Knight's lightsaber isn't far more commonly used amongst everybody because it's a very formidable weapon, and technologically speaking, a very efficient cutting tool. So why wouldn't they have hordes of technology that's similar to it? Well, because as they established with the Jedi, you have to actually be a Jedi to manufacture one. It's an individual work of art. and it's attuned to the particular creator. So creating them, if you acquire one after the fact, well, you have to deal with the dogma and the stigmatism of having something that you're obviously not a Jedi, so how did you acquire it? And or the, in the height of the Empire, it was a great way to get noticed by the wrong people, and they come for you, etc. So we got the technology policy, new devices, jury rigging, fantastic technology, permanent advances, jury rigging advances, item availability, improving existing abilities, equipment failure, cybernetics, prosthetics, enhancement, cost, temptation of evil. So that's another issue with Star Wars. The technology is very, very slow. At some point, they've reached this pinnacle of development, and most of the technology that's used, common day stuff in Star Wars, it's been there so long, and so there's very few new revolutionary things that come out because they just don't have the drive. It's, a lot of their resources and energies are spent towards this never-ending conflict of war. That's one thing. Even before, during the Old Republic, the reason the Old Republic became the way it did was because of previous wars and other issues. You just got to know your history for Star Wars if you want to understand that. So, blah, blah, blah. Product line availability, ordering information, word from the president. Even got some coupons here to get some discounts. Conveyances, so how about a jetpack, vehicle voice lock, hover shopper, jet and rocket pack models in stock, hyperfoil, so just, the only real jetpack we ever see, or rocket pack in action, is Boba Fett's, but it's implied that there are lots of them. They're entire military units that are jump troops that are equipped with devices of this nature. We also see them in some of the like the Clone Wars and various animations, but they're limited, so the lion's share of people are not rocketing around their city with these things. But here it lists a sheer large number, everywhere from 200 credits and up. So they're fairly inexpensive and available. So why they're not more in use is probably because it just wasn't something that came up in the movies and the series. Hydrofoils, methane sifter, personal vehicle coordinator, some various luxury shuttles and other craft, other related things, autopilot droid brain, the system diagnostic filter, vehicle remote activation controller. And we got a section on droids, guardian droids, litigation droids, chef bots, personal secretary droids, transport droids, tutor droids, maintenance droids. An interesting thing about these droids, and I'm going to be doing an intro to BattleTech MechWarrior later this morning, and for a release on my channel, and there's an interesting tie-in with this to BattleTech. So we got home and office, so you got a corporate watcher computer, a Quillish BioLight panel, a Bith hiding cube, cryptographic coder, ductile heat reducer, pocket secretary, dispersal canister, refresher booth, repulsor lounge, grab mill, monofilament screens, sunroom. The list just keeps going. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in here. Then we got jewelry, dissuasion fields, cybernetic nexus ring, a Gorandin holochronometer, personal transponder, radiation deflection pin, ultrasight enhancer. So we get into medical equipment, sluicy graptonic pressure bandage, spray, plastocast, repair splint, a med unit. And this is a variation. We see a variation of that in the movie, the first trilogy, when Palatine goes and saves Anakin from Mustafar, or not Mustafar, Mustafar, and rescues him home and puts him in a stasis basically a med stasis unit to save his life, and then get him back to the shop and turn him into Vader. Personal gift ideas: a bubble cloak, body glove, credit chip bioencoder, chemical boosters, chronometer with hidden compartments, a gravity belt, orbital transmission monitor, servo slippers, signature synthesizer, sound bubble, a synaptic teacher, translator, recreational devices, gladiator walkers, declination mental combat game. Gladiator walkers even got a liability disclaimer. You hurt yourself, they're not responsible. Grab ball, sports lifter, grab boots, the holomatic direct set, holo chest, sky slicer, special tools, copycat pod, bio cocoon, oxidizer, EVA vacuum pod, fusion cutter. That's something that gets referenced by Obi-Wan Kenobi in A New Hope to Luke when he's telling him anybody can use a blaster or a fusion cutter, but you don't hear much about fusion cutters other than that. Here's one right here. It's a weapon / cutting industrial machine tool. Servo lifters, oxygen extractors, Verpine asteroid detector, surveillance and such technology, eye in the sky, data bio encryptor, heat pod, husher mic, view masker, voice scrambler, all kinds of nice and nifty gizmos, travel aids, pulsar lift baggage cart, carrier stuff, emergency inflation shelter, food analyzer, energy capacitor, heat induction staff, galactic currency converter, navigation detection finder, portable message transceiver, water purifier. We got weapons and self-defense, unpowered concussion. It's a concussion stick. Easily disguised as small cylindrical data probes or similar hardware, concussion sticks are handheld, hand-activated packets of explosive firepower. Basically, two chemicals. It's like super glue. You mix the chemicals at the right moment, and then you touch somebody. It'll light them up. Weapons: fierce stick, power cane, Merkler stiletto, the Galladinium double-bladed vibro blade. That's a real spooky-looking thing. Looks like something a Klingon would enjoy. Rhodian cryo whip. It's bad enough to have a neural whip. Let's get one that uses extreme cold to mess with you up. Always fun. Imitator, biopolar blaster carbine, picket gun. That's one of those where you mount it on a wall somewhere. Bletch smart pistol, projectile hunting rifle, abdicator, blaster buster, blister blaster, ionic tingler, hand baton, credit case surprise. Keep your money in a safe, secure environment, and when somebody tries to grab it, it just gives them a nice sharp stun and leaves them twitching on the floor. Merson disruptor, BioGuard, biotractant repulsor, this wrist backblade launcher. That's what every bounty hunter needs. Accessory kits, blaster repair kit, portable chip recharger, blaster target board, armor. So various additions. So you got combat jumpsuits, got power armor, assault armor. Now this would be the civilian version or the private sector version of what often the stormtroopers, or at least the space troopers, are equipped with anyway. So a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and a bunch of interesting things. And we got some special offerings, some special oddballs. So we got Barbel micro armor, Abyssin grafting patch. The Colonial Metal hover pod, the Duros biocomputer, implant communicator, little oddball things in specific races of individuals. Sunjammer, Transbar racing harness, Transbar mountain ripper, Verpine shadow gun. This takes hawking to the next level. So basically, you've got an electronic gizmo on your hunting bird or bird of prey or whatever it is, and you have a head control unit, so you can actually give it commands or mentally compel it to do things. Let's see, non-catalog offerings, hyperdrive booster, nav computer bypass, an SB-20 security breach droid, and Guardian droid system, flesh camouflage. This advanced disguise system, computer for this disguise kit can only be programmed by programmers who knew the parameters of the security system to be infiltrated and have a complete computerized record of the individual's retina, fingerprint, and genetic scans. This computer information, a specialized computer will produce retinal contacts, chemical security card, and an actual flesh disguise, such as replicants to the face, hands, and feet of another person. Right? Yeah, so we got some pretty fantastic and great stuff. So we got another equipment guide with a lot of little stuff. I've tapped into it a few times for this adventure and that adventure, and it was an interesting thing when I bought it, and like a lot of other things, it was there, it came out, I bought it. So if you see one, get your hands on one. Maybe it's useful for your campaign, some ideas, see a PDF of it, just flip through it. There's some pretty interesting and unusual items in here. Till next time, this is Rick.